All right, you are sharing this crazy story today. Two North Carolina teens busted for sexting each other. The 16-year-old girl and her now 17-year-old boyfriend sent each other explicit pictures, and now they're caught up in child porn charges. The 16-year-old girl took a plea deal. The felony charges against her were dropped, and she pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor charge. She will be on probation for a year, and she will not be allowed to have a cell phone. As for her boyfriend, he's charged with 5 sexual exploitation of a minor charges. If convicted, he could face prison time and will have to register as a sex offender. 4 of the charges were for having explicit pictures of himself on his phone, and 1 for having a picture of his girlfriend. Take a listen.
Each picture you have, or each time that you should send that picture, it's another charge. Apparently he and his girlfriend were sexting, is what it comes down to, and both of them were under the age of 18. They were 16 at the time.
And what's even more crazy is the age for legal consent for sex in North Carolina is 16. So these teens legally could have actually had sex, but because 18 is a legal age to appear in a sexually explicit image, these teens were arrested and charged. Ben Brainerd tweeted this: the absolute punchline, age of consent in North Carolina is 16. So if they were getting it on, it's all good. But sexting, oh, no, you don't. Criminal defense attorney B.J. Bernstein is here with us to walk us through some of these charges. I appreciate you being here. You worked on a similar case like this in Georgia. How does this even happen?
Well, it happens because all the laws are made at different times. And when most of the laws, whether they're federal and state, have these laws called sexual exploitation of a child. And basically, it's going after something that we want to go after, which is child pornography. But it's gotten blurred with the reality of teens, which is they have access to social media, they take pictures, and they're able to have sex consensually at 16 years of age. And the laws all say 18, any depiction of the private parts of someone 18 or under is child pornography. So there's a clash between the laws that doesn't make sense at all.
BJ, let me read you a tweet. Lady Fleur tweeted this: teen couple sexting pictures of themselves leads to child pornography charges. Our legal system is out of control. So that being said, listening to that tweet, do we need to change some of these laws? Because these pictures were consensually exchanged.
100%. When I represented Gennaro Wilson, a young man 10 years ago who was 17, who had consensual oral sex with a 15-year-old, he got 10 years in prison. And I went to the Georgia legislature, and we had what's called a Romeo and Juliet provision, so that when teens are of a certain age and they are involved in even underage sex, there's an acknowledgement that you're not a sex offender and you shouldn't be on a registry, and it's a misdemeanor. The same type of Romeo and Juliet law needs to now happen with our child pornography laws. You know, if it's for commercial gain, it's one thing. But again, amongst teens, as we have in this case, to punish a child for something that, truth of the matter is, many of them were doing.
Why is it that we're in a situation where the law has to catch up with us versus us catching up with the law?
Ask our legislators, ask our senators, ask our House of Representatives. You know, they're afraid to touch and clean up the sex laws. Remember, most of these were passed, you know, in the 1800s and 1900s. And this country's been around a long time, and it used to be that certain types of sex, for instance, sodomy was a felony in Georgia until I had the case that overturned that. So we have to catch up to the times and not be politically expedient and get in there and clean up the statutes.
BJ, a lot of parents out there want to know what they can do, because if their child is being charged with something like this, and then you have to register as a sex offender, that can mar your life.
It can ruin your life. And so first of all, you've got to talk to your kids. I know that I go into schools. I'm on the board of KIPP charter schools here in Atlanta, and I just did for summer school this summer for 7th and 8th graders, all of them, a talk about this very subject. We're in a world where ignorance of the law is no excuse, and yet we don't educate ourselves about the law. First, parents need to learn the law in your state. Look it up, ask the questions, spread it to your child, and use it in your discussions about whether they should have sex and the hard discussions you already have. You need to add this as another layer.
And let them know how serious these repercussions can be.
Absolutely.
And how much they can actually ruin your life.
It totally can ruin your life, and until the legislatures get with it, we got to talk to our kids.
B.J. Bernstein, thanks a lot for joining us. We appreciate it. I want to actually break down who exactly is sexting. 28% of teens 17 and under say they do it. 15% of 18 to 24-year-olds say they do it. 22% of people between the ages of 25 to 34 sext. 11% of those between 35 and 44. And 5% of people between the ages of 45 and 54 are still texting.